I was brought up in the north of Scotland. When I say the north of Scotland, I mean the most northern bit of mainland in the United Kingdom is where I was brought up. Life was hard, like there was not much money, life's not fair. Everyone is capable of achieving the most unbelievable things in this world, and it's just about having that belief. Hi, my name is Paul Hamilton. I'm CEO and founder at Halo. We employ 225 people, and this is my Duvet.
What does resilience mean to you?
It's remaining positive in any scenario you find yourself in. Embrace it and make the most of it and get through it as quickly as you can. Success does not come overnight. But if you love what you do, your work becomes leisure. Do you ever get burnt out from doing something you love doing? No, you don't.
Halo is a great case study that youth work. What is different that you're doing that others are not doing?
Halo's not for everyone. Like, it's a very chaotic environment.
I call it chaos with framework.
Yeah, absolutely. That's brilliant. It's so exciting. There's so much variety.
Unicorn. What is a unicorn? What's your duvet flip? What gets you out of bed in the morning to flip the duvet?
Yeah, the thing is...
Paul, welcome to my duvet flip. How are we?
I'm very good, Jack. You're making me feel very welcome and comfortable.
Well, you got your nice cup of tea. I've got my cup of tea. So what else could go wrong, right? Just a chat. I'm really excited to have you on, Paul, because we've had some fantastic leaders on, but most take the corporate route. Yourself, you're a founder, CEO, you figured it out, run rates, burn rates, everything in between, and you've done it by bootstrapping. So my first question to you, what is bootstrapping for those tuning in?
So bootstrapping is when you take a business and you grow it organically yourselves without any... So it doesn't mean you do it just on your own, you're employing people, but it's a self-funded business, so you're using the resources of the business to help grow the business.
And why did you want to go down that route when you see it all the time? So we're a bootstrap business as well. You see it all the time where, you have to raise investment, you see these fantastic shows like Dragon's Den and all those things. Why did you decide to say, you know what, we're going to bootstrap it?
I think the answer to that is that, so all the leadership at Halo, we're not actually finance people. The primary goal is not financial. We're all actually programmers, we're technologists, we're very passionate about technology. We are passionate, we literally are customer obsessed, and we just want to deliver great solutions for our customers. All we ever want is for them to tell another customer. That's our marketing engine. And honestly, in terms of financial targets and stuff, good things in the software industry, like there is, if you do a good job, there's lots of money around, and it does allow you to just grow. And being honest, we've never had any point in time where we have wanted to grow quicker than we've just organically been able to grow, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense, and it's brilliant because lots of businesses raise and then have lots of shareholders and investors, and it takes the business into a direction that the founder never wanted to take it in. So we're going to talk a little bit more about business, and today I really want to break down to really inspire and motivate those who want to start businesses, but also I want to learn a lot more around technology and software and what does it mean. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about your journey.
Yeah.
Like, would you say, you said you stood outside selling newspapers. Would you say, and then you obviously went on to Ernst & Young for a year, would you say that your career is also bootstrapped a little bit?
Yeah, I'm just winging it day by day. My life is running on instinct. It's, as you get older, you do begin to reflect, and you just dig into your philosophy and trying to understand what is it about your upbringing that ended up forming your character. And I think, so let's just go back to, I was brought up in the north of Scotland. There's very few opportunities up there. There's not a lot of money. Most of the jobs are in the public sector. And when I say the north of Scotland, I mean, so go to Inverness and drive another 3 hours north.
That's where you were.
Literally the most northern bit of mainland in the United Kingdom is where I was brought up.
And what was the town called?
So the village was Castletown.
Castletown.
My high school I went to was Thurso High School. So Thurso is a town of about 10,000 people. The whole county, so Caithness, 50,000 people perhaps. But as a kid, if I wanted to go to the cinema, the nearest cinema was a 3-hour drive away. So
Wow.
it was a totally different life for me. And up there, no one locks their doors. Like everyone knows everyone. As a kid, I used to hitchhike lifts. Like it sounds crazy. And I was just left to. I'm the youngest of 3 siblings, and I think. What's the saying that if your first child drops a spoon, your mother will pick it up and they'll go and get you a new one. Second child drops the spoon, your mother will pick it up, give it a rub and give it back to you. Third child, mother just tells you to pick it up yourself. And and I think that I learned, I was just, had to figure out life and became very independent and developed bags of initiative, very much a can-do approach. I realised that whatever happens in my life is down to me, not external factors and forces, and I'm in control of my own destiny. So, and I think the upbringing I had in the north of Scotland was very much an important part of that. But I would say it's a double-edged sword, because having all this freedom is great, but I nearly lost my life when I was 7 years old. I got hit by a van, and I was knocked out, and I was in hospital for a couple of days, and very lucky, escaped lightly really when you think about it. But my best friend at the time, he was hysterical, shouting, screaming, saying, "Paul is dead, Paul is dead." Went running into my house, because it was just down the road from where I was living, saying, Kathy, to my mum, "Paul's dead, Paul's dead." My mum thought I was literally just being killed in a road accident. So I think in terms of, as I say, it's a double-edged sword, like giving your kids freedom, and obviously these are completely different times now in 2024, and it's just getting that balance of it. I think sometimes people can maybe just be a bit too controlling of, maybe not giving their kids as much freedom as what might help the kid themselves become more independent. But obviously it's a huge balance you need to be responsible and make sure they're safe.
I totally agree. Getting run down by a fan at 7, has that had any knock on trauma or anything to you? Do you believe anything around that experience? Because I think experiences make you, and some for the better, some for the worse. But was there anything in that experience that, as you believe, has helped you throughout your bootstrapping career? Like, is there anything? I always look at a glass and I go, okay, the glasses are full. It'd be nice if it was full, but what can I take from it, and what can we do from that experience? I know you was young, 7. It's a lot hard to remember, but having that memory, you're talking about it today.
I think
25 years later, right?
Yeah, I think it does probably contribute to these days to be successful. I think it's all about resilience. Like, there's other things, but one, you can't, unless you're resilient, you're going to find it hard, I think, to get on in this world and be hugely successful, however you define success. So for sure, I think it did help to build a bit of resilience. And
what is resilience? What is resilience to you? And when I'm going to pull up the dictionary, because there's a word in there, and I'm dyslexic, so I won't do that anyway. But resilience means different things to different people, and how you show up in resilience can be different to how someone else will show up with resilience. I believe I'm very resilient, but I wouldn't be resilient in a big corporate, working in a big corporate with 10,000, 20,000 staff. I just don't know if I could be resilient, because it's a different type of resilience.
An interesting fact about me, when I left university, I was handing out newspapers outside Tesco, earning minimum wage.
So what does resilience mean to you as an entrepreneur, as a founder, as a CEO?
For me, I think it's remaining positive in any scenario you find yourself in. And there will always be hard times, difficulties, and it's kind of just that. I'm going to coin a phrase here that's instrumental in the development of Ipswich Town Football Club, who's a partner of Halo's. Their whole thing, and they've got it above their change room, is running towards adversity. So in adverse situations, just approach it, embrace it and make the most of it and get through it as quickly as you can. And I think this is all about resilience. I remember, so going on from the north of Scotland, so after living up there as a young kid, I then had the cultural extreme, which was to move to Chelmsford in Essex.
Essex, yeah. I'm from Essex.
Yeah, so Romford, was
Romford,
it?
yeah. So you went from where you were all the way to Essex. Was that like not a huge culture shock for you?
Oh, massively. So my parents split up when I was, I don't know, probably 8, 9, 10 perhaps. I was living with my mum, council house in Thurso, one of the most deprived council estates in Europe, and life was hard. Like there was not much money. It was a hard life. My dad, there were again no jobs up there, so he was offered some work. He relocated down to Essex. Myself and my brother ended up going on a holiday just to spend some time with my dad, and it must have been so difficult for my parents because my dad then saw how like we loved it down there. Like it was amazing. There was so much going on, and bearing in mind we're now like teenagers, like we're 11, 12, 13, and just go to the cinema, just go to football matches. It was London on your doorstep.
Not 3 hours away, but
yeah, it was incredible.
20 minutes, right?
So we loved the idea of like living here. So my dad obviously had to speak for my mum. Well, the boys kind of want to come and live with me, and what that must have been like for my mum, I got no idea. But she was with my sister up in the north of Scotland for a while. I was with my brother and my dad down in Chelmsford in Essex. They did also end up moving down in Essex, and my mum lived in Southend and different places in Essex, so still, we weren't one family again. But what I was going to say, so in terms of, but that then raised, I think, an awareness in me that almost like life's not fair. Like you've got, based on where you're brought up or your scenario circumstances, that kind of determines like the opportunities you have. And it's not, everyone's got talent. There is, for any young person listening to this today, like everyone is capable of achieving the most unbelievable things in this world, and it's just about having that belief. When I started doing this at Halo, I was going into meetings with people with 20 years experience of IT directors or whatnot, and I felt so out of place. It's like, what am I doing here? I'm so underqualified, and
the imposter syndrome that just comes in, right?
Imposter syndrome.
When am I going to get catched out?
And you think, and going back to why companies, I'm going off on a tangent here, but why companies raise money often is because they think there's a hell of a lot of stuff they don't know that they need to know to grow and scale a business. But they don't. They know so much more than they ever think they know, that they realise. And it's just about, it takes time. And this is the thing these days, 2024, TikTok, social media, instant gratification, and like success does not come overnight unless you're very, very lucky. That can do. But for 99.9% of people who, and you might only see or hear the highlight reels, but honestly, it's a slog. Like it takes time. But if you love what you do and you're growing, like all these experiences, you're just developing and growing all the time, and that's what makes, like for us at Halo, it's the journey. It's not about like it's cool where we've got to, and it's amazing to be. When people talk about us being a unicorn and stuff like that is amazing. But what's more amazing is like how we're all doing this together. We are pretty much almost all school leavers or graduates at Halo. We've made loads of mistakes, don't get me wrong, made loads of mistakes along the way where we figure stuff out. It's like, yeah, that works, that doesn't work. You're always looking for these marginal gains. And that's the fun. Like that's when people are excited to come into work on a Monday morning at 9 a.m. Because we're very unusual that we've got a 100% in-office working policy, which for a tech company is like, whoa, it blows people's minds.
So look, you're talking so much sense to me, and I want to tackle something. So firstly, unicorn. What does that mean in the world of business? For those who are tuning in who want to be entrepreneurs, who are listening in, like, what is a unicorn?
So a unicorn is a privately owned business that has reached a valuation of over $1 billion, so US dollars, within a period of time, which there's different definitions, but either between 10 and 20 years. So there's kind of a limit. So if you've been doing it for 100 years, you wouldn't be classed as a unicorn because it's been such a slow journey. I started employing people in 2011. So it's been I guess a 13-year journey for us in the company, and the thing with software as well, like it takes, because it's a bit of technology that, and what I was saying, like how you can't just keep throwing resource at software to speed up the development. You really can't. There are no tricks. You just have to consistently keep developing your technology over the years. And it takes, honestly, there's probably about 15 years, because I was also developing with my business partner, Alan, as well. So even before 2011, when I started hiring people, I was doing custom software development, just building up this library of code. So there's years and years and years of software development that eventually you get to the point where you do have product market fit. And what I would say, whether it's any product, any service, again, any young person out there who's got a business and they wonder going back to raising money, why do you raise money? It's either to massive marketing campaign to get your product or service out there so people can understand it and hopefully subscribe or purchase. But the problem with that is that if you do it too soon, and 90% of software startups fail because they scale way, way too early, way before the software is at product market fit. And what I mean by that, product market fit, so I would say if you're bidding for a job, so you're being considered, there's a short list maybe of, 3 or 4 companies that a business might be look at for the software platform. If you're consistently winning those, so more than 50% of the time, that's when you know that your software and your service perhaps is good enough. And until you're at that point, the worst thing you can do in the world is market it. Because all you're doing is you're actually saying, and you're raising all this money, you're spending a hell of a lot of money on this campaign to tell the world that your software is actually worse than the competition.
So the aim is to get to product market fit through having loads of conversations but not marketing it to extent. Once you get 50% or more of the bids that you bid for, then you start realising that your product market fit, and that's when you can then start eating it up.
Exactly.
So how long did it take you to become product market fit? You and Alan, was it you and Alan sitting there?
Well, Alan he retired back in 2010, but when I started...
You both were sitting there coding?
So we were doing custom software development projects. Cool. From Halo's point of view in NetHelp Desk, I started employing people in 2011. 2011. So that was when Alan, he's 25 years older than me, and he didn't want to go into this and do it for proper business, and he was ready to retire. So and this is the thing, Alan taught me how to code. In 2004, when I started working with Alan, doing custom software development and installing Wi-Fi networks, building websites, it was Alan who taught me how to code. He mentored me. Alan made me realise that, like, in terms of software, that any one person can actually develop. I saw some Alan stuff. It was like, because he'd been coding since the 70s. As I say, he's a lot older than me. And he was very much, I guess, my mentor during that phase. And he gave me the confidence to be able to know that I could. And I was flying all around the world in 2008, 2009.
How has code changed? Like, in terms of, like, development, how has it changed from 2011 till now? Because there's lots of kind of new technologies out. There's a concept recently, or a couple of years ago, called no code, and now they've changed it to visual development. There's a number of different things. And we had a lady in the COO of Rackspace who said every line of code's been developed. It's like a dictionary, putting the words together and then kind of creating your own sentences, which then creates your own story to it. How do you see code, and how has it developed? As it changed? Has it got easier to code, to become a coder, or more difficult? Where do you see it?
The tools have changed. So the actual the way I describe it is coding and producing software. So imagine Photoshop. So it's a bit of software. You learn how to use it. You learn how to edit images and stuff and put captions on. And so you're learning how to use a bit of software. To write software, you just learn how to use a bit of software that's used to write software. And so that's called a development studio. It might be Visual Studio. It could be, there's all sorts of different tools, software programs that are used to develop software. Now, in terms of the actual syntax and the coding itself, so when you use this bit of software and you start typing stuff and things magically start appearing in places on a screen, so you need a certain level of, you need your brain to think in a certain way. So that's your aptitude.
Yep.
And this is the other big myth with the software industry, is that a lot of the massive tech companies think that to develop the best software, you need people with 10 years experience who are on hundreds of thousands of dollars of salary, who have worked at the best companies developing the best platforms. That's a complete myth. So at Halo, the majority of our software engineers had not done any software engineering before starting at Halo.
So they joined without software. Wow, that's cool.
So going back to the aptitude, don't get me wrong, these people are maths geniuses. They're very good at maths. And if you look at their grades, and what I'd say again, any young person, if you're good at maths, and maybe you've not thought about a career in software, but if you are good at maths, you will make a great programmer.
And can you make a great programmer if you're not good at maths?
No, I don't think you can. There's bits of the software industry like UX design. There's definitely parts to it where you could be very instrumental and successful and valuable in a software company if you're not so good at the maths bit. But the actual coding of instructing, giving the computer commands, and then that determines what appears on the screen, it requires extreme logical thinking and clarity of thought, which even if you don't, and I'm not academic, I didn't really like school, I didn't try that hard at school, but maths came easy to me. So
hence why you went to Ernst & Young and did the accountancy?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't...
Or was that more of someone around you saying to you...
I didn't know what to do. I honestly didn't know what to do. And a lot of people who, when they don't know what to do, you just fall into... Because I wanted financial freedom. I liked the idea of having choice. As I say, I grew up without money, and then you realise that if you have money, life it seemed a lot easier and more comfortable, and I liked the idea of having choice. So I wanted a career that would allow me to have financial freedom, and a secure route to that is often working for one of the big accountancy consultancy firms. But that then brings a whole new set of problems, and because there's such massive organisations that are very hierarchical structures, command and control everywhere.
I went into Ernst & Young and they rolled out the red carpet for the partners.
Yeah, it's like
what are you doing?
Like even reserved parking spaces based on how
can't go on a certain floor.
Yeah, it's all this stuff, and Halo is the opposite of that. Like there's no reserve.
I had a look at. I went down your Instagram. It's so cool.
Oh, did you?
Your offices are like really cool, and
so it's a totally flat structure. The most senior people in the business are sat right in open plan office with all the new graduates around them. I was at an event yesterday. I brought 2 people with me. I'd only been there 2 months. Going to an event next week in Amsterdam, bringing another guy who he's only been with us maybe 3 months, and the rule at Halo is, if you're a senior and experienced and knowledgeable, and you find yourself doing something on your own, that's a waste of mentoring time. Like even if it's just someone watching or listening, or...
Well, you've got 2 superstars here today.
Exactly, yeah.
So what do you mean by if you're senior?
Senior, yeah. So I guess
what does that mean, like in the grand scheme of things?
So for Halo, it's about it's actually if you're a leader.
So you're a leader?
Yeah, if you're a leader. So if you've demonstrated, and some people get to leadership within 2 years. They're that driven and they're that in line with the values of Halo. And for us, like, culture is so important. It really is everything. And I think, and some people just get it immediately. And after a couple of years, like when you then have someone who demonstrates all these leadership skills, and they can, like, it's contagious, like, and it works both ways as well, by the way. So if you're not, like, we don't like egos in the business, and if you're someone who does have an ego, and then that can
get rid of it quickly.
Yeah, So you've got to make sure that you've got they say get the right people on the bus, but then put them in the right seat. What I say, I mean, I love transport. I love trains, planes, buses. Quite known for it. Like
Sports cars.
People laugh about it in the office. But what I say is, like, the train left the station in 2011. I started hiring people, and it keeps stopping. So let's just say it left London. It's going to Inverness. It stopped at Peterborough, York, Berwick, wherever, Edinburgh, and we're going somewhere. We're on this journey, and it keeps stopping. People get on at different stops, but we've literally just scratched the surface with where we're going. And
people get off right at certain stops as well.
Now and again, people get off. It's Halo's not for everyone. Like it's a very chaotic. People think that's negative connotations with that word, but I think it's great because if you've got a chaotic environment, it's so exciting. Yeah. There's so much variety.
I call it chaos with framework.
Yeah, absolutely. That's brilliant. Yeah.
Like if you can have an environment where you can actually make a difference, but you've still got framework in place.
Yeah.
There's
you've got the guidelines, the rules.
Yeah.
Like we have a rule: no gossiping.
That.
That's the worst thing in business is if you ever hear anyone or gossiping.
So when you first started, did you think you would get all the way through to where you are now, which is a really exciting, successful business compared to, obviously you and I are both entrepreneurs and founders and leaders. I see all these businesses pop up, just raise this, raise this, and I'm just like, you can do it bootstrapped. You can achieve and make impact. Did you ever have doubt? Like when Alan left and said, you know what, I'm retiring. Mm-hmm. If you want to carry on, go for it. Mm-hmm. Did you ever put a moment, oh, actually, should I? I'm now on my own. Or was it all for you? I want to have the freedom. I want to create something special. And I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I know that the next train station is this.
It's been such a gradual journey, like literally from... So when you start employing people, and like we've now got 4,500 customers, every customer has contributed to where we've got to. Every deal we've won has contributed. Every deal we've lost has contributed. Every time we lose a deal, it hurts. Like it lights the fire inside you, and you don't. Whatever the reason is why you lose that deal, you do everything in your power as an organisation to make sure that never happens again. Whether it's some service-related thing or something in the product that doesn't quite do, as long as it's aligned and it's the right, as long as we think we should have won it, or we could have won it, sometimes it's just a different requirement altogether, and when that's fine, we'll just say, oh, it's not the right fit. But in terms of like, did I ever have doubts? No, it's not. Because you don't, and I think this is a thing, because Halo, believe it or not, is a very relaxed environment, and it's so chaotic and going so quickly. We've grown 100% 8 years in a row now. But honestly, and I'd love you to visit our offices one day, people say when they walk in, they feel like this energy that is just like no other experience elsewhere.
Well, I'm feeling it here, Paul. I'm feeling it here. So, Paul, Halo is extremely a great case study that youth work. What's the secret formula? Like, why has it worked? Like, how has it worked? People come in with not much experience, not even know how to do software development, and then they come out the other side as these superstars. Like, how is that happening, and what is different that you're doing that others are not doing to make that work?
Yeah, I think it's just we have a culture where we truly believe in people. So we believe that any person coming through that door at Halo on their first day, like, they can achieve anything. Like, the world really is their oyster. They're capable of so much more than they think they are. And in terms of how we've developed this culture, it's because we've experienced this ourselves. Like me, when I was first doing this, I had imposter syndrome, and I thought I wasn't qualified to be in the room with these people with 10, 20 years experience. But then you realise that actually age is just a number, and it's just about what you do, and like how how well you do it, and and it's just, and I think so we've now got a company that has leaders, like world-class leaders all over the business that have come from below average state schools, some cases special measures schools, and they've gone on and become world-class at what they do. So when people see these people almost as a role model and an inspiration, and they still think initially, they think, oh yeah, but maybe they're just like really talented and that's an exception to the system, but then they realise that like Halo's just full of people. Almost everyone at Halo like has this exact same story, and then they think, well, that'd be a hell of a coincidence if 50% of everyone you hire in Suffolk ends up being. so then you think, well, it can't just be about those individuals. There's something about the culture and just how we. And so in terms of how you do it, it's like just trust people, delegate, throw people in the deep end, and this is where it isn't for everyone because people always end up swimming. But yeah, sink or swim.
It's back to that point, isn't it? That chaos with framework, right?
Yeah, chaos with framework.
You talked about earlier, which I didn't pick up on then because you was talking about something else, about 100% in the office. Tell me about that, because I think right now there's like a massive kind of, you see it in the news, remote, hybrid, this, that. When leaders ask me what do I think around youth and how they should be, where they should be, in what environment, I use this simple thing. I say, if you've got less than 5 years worth of work experience, you need to spend as much time as you can around people in an environment that helps you thrive. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And then you see others that go, we have over 10,000 young people that join us weekly at the moment, and we don't do marketing. Well, we do the show, but like, and over 70% of them will only opt in for a remote role. Where do you think it's going wrong? Why have you opted for a fully in the office environment, which, by the way, personally I would subscribe to? It means that I could have more airtime with you and learn from everyone else around me.
Yeah.
Why have you done that rather than listen to what the generic?
Yeah, I think there's two bits to that. One is, if you just look at the human primitive needs for community and connection, like let's just talk about that. So is it healthy for any human being to just be in their apartment day in, day out and not seeing people? No, that's not healthy. Like I think there was a stat recently where your average high security prisoner in the US is spending more time outdoors looking at the countryside than your average teenager in the Western world. Wow. Or something crazy. Like there is a minimum, I think it's over an hour that they spend every day, and then you could correlate that with mental health. And there's so much data now, you can just see that all the problems with a lack of social interaction. So that's almost at a more society level. So that's, one very, very strong reason is just for keep people sane, mental health. But then, from a commercial, like work level, there's so many reasons to. So yeah, you're absolutely. So if you're new and you want to learn, you're going to learn far, far quicker by being physically around people, and it's all the serendipitous stuff that happens in like by the water cooler or whatever. These conversations that. Stuff is so nuanced, but so much happens away from the scheduled appointments that if you were just doing Teams call after Teams call and it's very defined and you're not deviating from the agendas of all these meetings, and the magic doesn't happen, and it's all this collaboration and stuff, and even having an awareness of like what I was saying about how when someone comes in and they see all these people and they get to know their roles and start learning about their backgrounds, what schools they went to, and realizing that I can achieve that. If you were all just working remotely, like it just would not be the same. So I think just in terms of knowledge transfer and how much people enjoy the work and the energy, like there's so much energy, like when you come in the office and people feed off that, like, and it's in terms of like why I still do after 20 years and still coming in. It's I want to feel that energy. It's almost like addictive.
It does become addictive, doesn't it? Because you're around people, and if they all understand the mission and where you're trying to head to, it just makes everything a lot easier.
Interesting fact about Halo is earlier this year we became the UK's first ever unicorn, totally bootstrapped and self-funded.
What is your opinion on business plans? Put big plans together, because everyone has a crystal ball, right? And they all know how they go. Like, there's some great incentives out there for youth, and I think everyone does great stuff. But then I go on somewhere like the Prince's Trust, which is now called the King's Trust, and it downloads a massive 70-page business plan, and I'm like, I remember when I first started from a coffee shop, I created this 70-page business plan from the King's Trust, and none of it was right. It went out the window. What is your advice to young entrepreneurs or anyone who's trying to put a career plan together, or any type of plan? How should plans be?
So firstly, we've never done any business plans. We've never, in terms of documents, or we've never done any of that kind of stuff. Even cash flow forecasting, you wouldn't believe this, but a business now of our size, we don't do any cash flow forecasting. We don't need to, because the business is run so efficiently that it's very profitable, and because we're just almost growing it in this organic self.
So you have no cash flow forecasting?
No cash flow forecasting.
Wow. And it's still been a success.
Yeah, and we have the cash to be able to. Like, we've reached the capacity of our current office, and we're looking at another office, and we're looking at the time when everyone's like selling their buildings. We're like, we want to buy a building. That's going to be our home for the next 10, 20 years, and we're going to have the most spectacular building. And it's something that, again, going back to the culture and being a part of bringing a Salesforce type organisation or ServiceNow type organisation to Suffolk, and being proud of that and being a part of the transformation. It's all.
Do you look at the competition or the people closest? You know, we talked about there's potentially there's 4 others on the list than you, and you look at it and go, oh, they won the deal. Why? What happened? When you look at, do you have a list of competitors that you look at and go, oh? Sometimes you go, oh, why didn't we think of that? Sometimes you go, oh, what are they doing? Where do you get your inspiration from, Paul? Like, where does that come from, and how can others get inspired when they're first starting out and they go online? It's easy to go online and go down a road and think, oh, this one's doing this one's doing that. But someone's version 50 is your version 1. And it's easy to get into that trap, right? Where do you get your inspiration from? And then how do you stay focused?
So firstly, we very much just focus on what we are doing. So in terms of, we really believe in what we're doing, and we believe we will become market leader in the different markets we operate in. But that journey, and if you lose a deal, it's so important to get the feedback, so you understand deeply why you've, like, it honestly, it hurts our team. Like, it fires us up. We hate losing deals, but it's such a good, it's like every cloud is a silver lining. Every time we lose a deal, often it's better than winning the deal, because you get the feedback that allows you to then make an improvement that allows you to get 10 deals. So you've always got to get that feedback. So in terms of advice for any young person listening today, I would say, like, keep getting that feedback, whoever it's from, wherever it's from. It's one of the most important things in business. But in terms of, I can't remember the original question you asked me before that about
inspiration. Where does your inspiration come from? And do you look at your competitors' lists and go, oh, they're doing something really good? Like,
yeah. So, I mean, what we actually do is we just keep listening to our customers. Like, what are our customers' requirements? And it might well be that their requirement, and they say, maybe we're migrating from one platform to Halo, and they say, well, in this platform we were able to do this, and then we say, all right, we'll do a feasibility study. Can we do something like this as well? And quite often we'll just make it work and build it in, and that's how a product develops. And that's why I think, and the best thing you can also do is not just get the feedback, but properly listen to your customers. And as long as you're going for the segmented market, you've got to kind of go for a segmented market. Don't just try and do one thing for everyone. But then listen to the customers in that market and really tailor what you're doing to the customer feedback. Don't worry too much about the competitor is this and this other one's doing this, and use your customers to help you develop. Use
your customers as the sense of truth and how you grow.
Yeah, and just partnership, really partner with your customers. So they're helping you and you're helping them, and it's very much a two-way thing.
As a business owner and a CEO and an entrepreneur starting your own business, I'm a big believer that action and speed will make you succeed. Yeah, I like to move really quick and stuff. How do you balance your brain wanting to move quick compared to what's possible in that moment? Or are you on the understanding that anything's possible? If you want to get something done, we'll get it done.
Yeah, definitely the latter. Anything is possible. There's always an opportunity cost. So any resource you have and any time you spend doing anything, you could be using that time to spend doing something else. So you have to make sure it's in line with the goals of the business. I mean, you are, in terms of how quickly you can move. And the biggest challenge right now is, and people might think, because there really is so much opportunity and we are doing great things and we could really scale and bring so many customers on board very quickly, but we're very careful not to do that because we think so long term and so far ahead. We want to just keep bringing people on slow. We know it might sound a bit overconfident, but we have the mentality that they will come to Halo eventually because of the way we are, the way we do the business, and we know the software is a great fit. So they'll come eventually. So just focus on the deals we've got and just do absolutely everything you can to make it work, and for that customer to tell another customer. And that means, so we'll have, for example, we've got a rule that we will never grow our headcount by more than 50%, because then you start diluting culture, diluting knowledge, harms your reputation.
How did you come up with that number 50%?
From experience. So when we're quite considerably smaller, I suppose, you realise your technology is really great and you're winning more tenders than you're losing. And then you think, okay, well, let's scale, let's hire loads of people. So there was a year when we doubled our headcount, and it was too much too soon. It just doesn't work, and we see time and time again in the industry people making these mistakes where you think you can just go and hire. You might have 100 people, and you go and hire 1,000 people. It just does not work. Absolutely does not, and it's because people are in too much of a hurry. Maybe because they're publicly listed and they've got their biannual results to worry about, or even a private equity driven company where they want a return within 3 to 5 years. But for us, as I say, we're thinking 10, 20 years ahead, and the power of that is unbelievable when you do have a whole company that thinks is really not focused at all on the current year's performance and results. So for example, in May we announced that for unused logins, we're crediting them back at the next year's renewal. We had a waiting list for clients. We're actually saying no to people because, again, going back to, we were bringing on too many customers, and we wanted to just slow that down a bit because we don't want to harm our reputation. So all these things that when you think long term, these are the best decisions you can make for the business. All the AI use cases, we're one of only 6 vendors in the world that is recommended by Gartner, which is the world's authority on technology, amongst other things. And we're one of 6 vendors, and we were pretty much the first to market with all these AI use cases in service management technology. We're just giving all that to our customers for free. Everyone else is charging an arm and a leg, but for
added
us,
value, right, rather than an extra
added
cost.
value. It's we're always thinking, how can we create more value, make it fairer for our customers? And again, it just comes back to, if we wanted to maximize revenue in the next 12 months, we'd charge a lot of money for the AI technology. But all we actually want is for a customer to tell another customer, maybe in 2 years' time, 5 years' time, somebody might at then point migrate to Halo, and it's all about just thinking long term.
Looking at the long term.
Big picture, long term. Interesting fact about the software industry is that you cannot just keep throwing resource at your software engineering teams to make the software better or to develop more. It's unlike any other industry in that regard.
What would you say has been your biggest lesson since you've been an entrepreneur? Like whether it was early doors, whether it was last week or something?
Yeah, relatively recent, I suppose, last couple of years maybe. I've always known that, and Halo's had a culture forever to have the most senior people, most visible, so that the new people can learn off those senior people. And I always knew that. But you do, and again, thinking long term, because you do have short-term pressures. You might have some really big deals that are coming along. And then, of course, you want your best people to work on those big deals that are so important. So then you do start, and we have as a company made the mistake of taking some of this great resource from, and you think it's temporarily, it's it'll be fine just for a few months. You'll take the resource away from training up and inspiring the new starters and the youth, and you work on these big deals. But that's when you begin to create that segregation layer. It's all right, so all the experienced people are now working on all the really high valuable stuff. And you've now got the new starters learning from people who started 6 months before them or a year before them. And that's when everything really slows down and the culture becomes a bit more us and them. And honestly, we did have a period, it was probably a year, maybe 2 years, where it began to get like that, and I realised I'm a problem solver. It's this problem was developing. It's what's going on here, and you're analysing it, and it's and then I began to realise that I'd actually fallen into the trap of doing the very thing that I knew
that you started not to do.
Yeah, I knew so, but and it took going through that experience to actually reinforce fundamentally how important that is. And I say to people now, and people think I'm biased, and maybe I am, but honestly right now, for any young person anywhere in the world, for me, Halo, in terms of a graduate scheme for graduates coming in, I think it's the best graduate scheme in the world. Not just because we're in the software, there's lots of big software companies that are growing quickly, so there's lots of opportunity. But there's very, very few organisations in the world that understand the importance of having those knowledgeable people, absolutely key to the business, working with the people just starting and giving them we have a checklist for every single person, no matter where you're going to end up in the business, whether it's marketing, software engineering, commercial selling, consultancy, they all have the same checklist. And there's about 20 boxes, and some of these items is things like attending a trade show in the UK, attending a client site visit abroad, suggesting an efficiency gain anywhere in the business. So it's a real holistic, all-rounded list of things that allow people to just have this awareness of all the different departments that what they do.
And if everyone's got the same checklist, then it gives the opportunity for everyone to start from be on the same page, right? Oh, what did you do with that when you add efficiency to when you tick that box?
Exactly,
what was your one? It gives people the opportunity to then expand their thinking, right?
Absolutely. Then the other 2 points I didn't mention about why it's such a good graduate scheme, it's in Suffolk. So commuting time is almost zero. There's no rush hours. It's compared to, again, to go back to where you do have these huge software companies with huge opportunities. They're in San Francisco, they're in Miami, they're in London. And if you don't want to have expensive, time-consuming commuting journeys, you have to spend a hell of a lot of money on rent or buying property that's located near to where these places of work are. So in terms of the cost of living, and Suffolk's you must come and visit us, Jack, because it's beautiful.
Well, I want to come down this slide that you've got.
And so that's another reason, the cost of living. And then the final thing is just this whole siege mentality that's formed, the David versus Goliath. It's so exciting, and I think that as well, that is, I'm probably biased, but I genuinely think it's the best place for any young person to come and just have a whole load of fun and learn a hell of a lot.
And if any young person does want to come, because I think you've sold it, you've done it, where can I sign up? Do they just go over to the website? Where do they go to do that?
Yeah, search for Halo Careers. There's a careers page, and you'll see there's different profiles of different people in different departments, and you can hear about their journeys. But yeah, anyone from any background. The interview process, so it's very short. It's just a very informal conversation. Like you've got a CV, which is, I guess, is a bit of a filter, because don't get me wrong, like software, you kind of have to. Yeah, it's quite.
You have to have good maths.
Yeah,
right?
Mathematical skills. Think logically if you're going to go into any technical roles, and even commercially, like selling. Our sales people are still. Yeah, they've got a good you need to have a technical understanding, because it still is listening to the problems and suggesting solutions and. So the CV is a bit of a filter, and we'll have maybe a 10-minute video call as well, where somebody will do that as a bit of a screening filter as well. But then just come in the office, and it is an in-person interview, because it is an in-person job as well. And it's in Suffolk. But we do have about a third of people relocate from all over the UK, from Glasgow and Manchester, and even Italy and
Essex.
We've got quite a few people from Essex now. But yeah, it's just such an informal chat where and you know how it is, like, within 5 minutes you have an instinct of whether or not that person will be a good cultural fit.
Well, yeah, yep.
And it's things in terms of what we look for. It's like, obviously you want work ethic, curiosity is important. So like, do they seem like they're curious? Like, because that's how you learn. That's how you really embrace stuff and learn. And will they adapt to the chaotic framework? So you try and gauge all this, but it's such a hard thing, by the way, as well, because I'm sure we've all been there, where you've gone for an interview, and it is a bit of an acting. You're trying to put yourself in, like, you just say yes to everything, and it's difficult to actually, and that's where the importance of, like, just your gut feeling, your instinct. It's almost never wrong. Like, just go with your gut.
Go with your gut,
rather than. Oh yeah, but look at their CV, and we've got to give them the benefit of the doubt because their CV is so perfect. And yeah, go with your gut, I think.
Well, AI can create a perfect CV now, can't it? So go with the gut.
Yeah.
We sit down in 5 years' time. Where is the business? Where's Halo? What's happening? What's your vision?
Yeah. So our vision, we honestly believe we're bringing So you've got 3 massive SaaS platforms in the US. You've got ServiceNow, Salesforce, Workday. We are bringing one of these types of scale and size of organization that's run in a much more democratic, meritocratic way to Suffolk. We're transforming that town with everything the football club's doing as well, with their back-to-back promotions to the Premier League. There's so much excitement for the future of what's going on in Suffolk, and I think and with our in-office working policy, so you've got loads of insurance companies and buildings that are 15% occupied. We're planning for 1,000 staff in 5 years' time, which will, again, in office. Imagine the boost to the economy of lunches, drinks after work, and it will be right in the centre of Ipswich as well. So, and that's really exciting in terms of the. We're actually going back to the youth side of it, so we're just about to launch Halo Scholars. So we're, again, taking people from disadvantaged or less privileged backgrounds. We're paying for them to go to university because we want to, and this is something we're starting off locally, but we hope we're going to roll out this initiative nationwide.
That's cool.
And they can go off to any university. So it's not that they have to go to university in the local area, but just, if they are resident in that local area, and we will work with them even, and this is how long-term Halo thinks. We're literally going into all the high schools, we're talking to them, we're promoting our scholarship program, and we're literally identifying people, and there is an application process, but if you're interested, then do apply, and there's a mentoring process, so we basically go on that journey from high school through university, and we hope that you'll come and work for Halo at the end of it. But if you don't want to and you change your mind, different career path, that's absolutely fine. But we just want to. It's just so deep in our core.
I can hear it in my heart. I can hear it in your voice.
I've literally gone through it myself. I know that it doesn't matter what educational establishment you've been to. It doesn't matter what experience you have not got. If you want to achieve something, you can just go and grab it. Like, just want it. Be driven. Be ambitious. It's just about trying to. If we can, even if there's 3-4 people that we can just make believe that,
I agree.
then that's what this is all about.
I love that. And my final question, are you ready for it? What's your duvet flip? What gets you out of bed in the morning to flip the duvet?
I think my duvet flip is probably, it's quite obvious now, it's just that energy. So the energy is addictive. So I want to flip that duvet and get into that office and get around people, feel that energy. There's so much purpose and mission to the whole David versus Goliath, the transforming Suffolk, there's so much learning. Like, it's just, it's all that great stuff.
I can say, just start thinking, do you go to bed? Do you sleep?
Well, this is the thing, like, because there's so much. Over the last few years, it probably has become a bit more fashionable to be a CEO or whatever, but people also have this picture that to be a CEO, you're only getting 4 hours sleep and it's horrendous and your schedule. I always get 8 hours sleep. I've got 3 kids. I spend a load of time. I'll go and watch them play sport, and it's very important to have a balanced family life. People say like work-life balance, and the thing for me that I find interesting, in fact, I haven't even mentioned my original inspiration, which was, so there's a book called Maverick, which is about this Brazilian businessman. I read this book while I was at Ernst & Young, and that made me actually believe that, there is a different way to this command and control structure. And he took a company that was very toxic, traditional, hierarchical, completely transformed it. It became Latin America's fastest growing company. And anyway, and it's a great book, go and read it, it's called Maverick. But one of his things in there, he said, is he was questioning, well, what is the opposite of work? Is it leisure or is it idleness? Can work be leisure? If work is leisure, so i.e., if you find your work fun, and they say, if you can, you never work a day in your life, but genuinely, if you can find a way to enjoy coming into work, your work becomes leisure. And then in terms of burnout and stuff, like do you ever get burnt out from doing something you love doing? And like, no, you don't. So you can. And don't get me wrong, there is times, and I'm sure my wife, who's been an absolute rock through all of this, there'll be times when she's like, she can just see my head's like somewhere else. I'm trying to, I don't know, when we go that problem earlier, we spoke about when you begin to get the segregation, and then it's how can I solve that problem? What's going on there? So your brain's somewhere else. But in terms of actual it's a very sensible working time and family time, and it's not like it's portrayed in the media, and that you can definitely achieve remarkable things without having to work crazy hours, and you can still enjoy. I love football.
Do what was right for you, right?
Yeah, and you can still do all your hobbies and still run a business. Absolutely.
Well, I just want to say thank you for joining us on the show, for sharing your journey, your wisdom, but also just really, I just so fascinated about how your mind works, and I've seen that today. It's like you're having a conversation with your own mind through me, and we did this, and it's passionate, and you know what, you've turned up as Paul, and authentic and honest and just real, and I love that. There's no kind of script, and you just go, oh yeah, and this happened, and it's like you've gone back in kind of time in terms of, what did we do when we did this and this. So I just want to say thank you, and I really just want to see ALO do so much success and take on those organisations. I've got their name already. Take them on, make a difference for the local area, and you're already doing that. 225?
Yeah,
people.
that's
Something?
globally. There's
Globally?
about 175.
175,
in
like,
Suffolk.
and if that's going to grow by to 1,000 in the next 5 years, that's just incredible. So I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, thank
and
you, Jack.
I will come down. We will find time to.
You've got to come to our office.
Is it down? Is it up? I don't know.
A little bit up.
I will come up, and I will come and check it out and. Cause some chaos myself, maybe.
Absolutely.
And you can show me your chaos.
And I just want to say, Jack, as well, like what you had, I have so much respect for what you guys have done and how you've done it. Even all the interactions we've had have been so to the point, efficient. It's been great working with you guys and your team. And yeah, hats off to everything you've achieved, and your mission is fantastic.
Well, thanks, Paul. This is maybe the first time we're sitting down for a cup of tea, but it won't be the last.
Thank you.